Now, the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has been under fire in recent weeks for comments he made about what he called problems in the cityscape, linking public safety perceptions to irregular migration. So just how safe do people feel in public spaces here in Germany? A new survey suggests half of all people feel safe or very safe. But since the last time this question was asked, back in February, that's right before the last general election here in Germany, we can see that the number of people who feel unsafe has been creeping up. Friedrich Merz's remarks, linking safety to immigration, have been seen as an effort to win back voters who have flocked to the far right. But is it working for him? DW's political correspondent Matthew Moore went to Bavaria to try and find out.
Nuremberg, home to 500,000 people, 50% of them with a migration background. Among them this man. Nassim Ahmed wants to be the next Lord Mayor. He's angry about recent comments by the German Chancellor.
This cityscape remarks were a punch in the face for millions of people who built our country from the ashes of World War II. And diversity isn't a weakness, it's a strength. And I think Mr. Merz didn't really know what he said, and I think he should apologize for what he said.
Ahmed wants Merz to apologise for linking public safety to irregular migration.
There are problems in the cityscape. Just ask your daughters.
Polls showed that most people agreed with Merz that out-of-work, undocumented migrants are a problem in cities. Here, though, much criticism.
Of course, there are problems at certain points where people come together, but to turn this into a debate and link it to deportations, I find that disastrous and dangerous.
Citizens sometimes feel misunderstood. Certainly, there may be issues. However, the way it was presented was a bit extreme.
He said, ask your daughter.
I also have a daughter, but I also feel comfortable going out. I'm not afraid.
I feel safe, yes.
Mr. Merz said something interesting. I believe the silent majority understood very well what he meant, that the cities have certainly changed a little, in various ways, in terms of cleanliness, in terms of the people.
It is this sentiment that is partly responsible for the rise of the far-right anti-immigration AfD party. They're topping nationwide polls, putting pressure on the Conservatives to respond.
We do have a party that has many people in their ranks, in their leading ranks, that are pro-Putin, pro-Russian, that are anti-Semites, that are racists. So what we will do, and perhaps do even more, is to address that, to make that clear, and at the same time try to speak to their voters and try to convince them that we will fix the problems, and the best way to convince them, by the way, is just to fix the problems, and one is migration.
But campaigners against right-wing extremism warn that efforts to sound convincing on migration may backfire.
It's grist to the mill for the AfD. We know that when such issues are raised, the originals will be chosen and the AfD will benefit from this again. I think a chancellor has the task of bringing people together, which he has not done. And that's why I find it very difficult, and it's contributed to a division in society.
Nassim Ahmed will be hoping his pitch for a more positive politics is the recipe to send him to the mayor's office when Bavarians go to the polls in March.
Let's talk about this with our political correspondent, Matthew Moore, who filed that report. Matthew, have the comments that Friedrich Merz made hurt him?
That's the good question, Anya. If you zoom out, really, and look at the big picture, it's been a few weeks that the German public have had to digest these comments. It doesn't appear that they have hurt him. We can look at the latest polls, the latest poll on the support for the political parties here in Germany, and we see that the Christian Democratic Union, Friedrich Merz's party, is on 27%. The far-right Alternative for Germany is on 26%. And in third place, the centre-left Social Democrats on 14%. And so the CDU are ahead by 1 point. It is a fragile lead, but it's an important lead because, as I mentioned, there are other polls which show the AfD ahead. And actually, when you take all the polls together, the AfD is ahead. But this latest poll, this is one of the most accurate polls that we have here in Germany, and that shows that in the past month, the CDU, Friedrich Merz's party, has gained 1 point, an important point, it must be said, because the AfD has been neck and neck with this party, and for Friedrich Merz it will be vindication that he's on the right path with this approach.
So the CDU inching forward, and as you're saying, this latest poll seeing the support for the far-right Alternative for Germany party falling ever so slightly. So by talking about immigration, has the Chancellor and have other parties taken ammunition away from the AfD and its messaging?
I mean, that's one of the big questions. It's this tactic that the Conservatives are employing to try to show A, that they're getting the job done, and B, that they can combat and fight back against the growing popularity of the AfD. At the moment, it looks like there is broad support for that. We saw it in the public polling about his remarks, that people said that he was right to say that Germany did need to deport people who no longer had a right to be in Germany, and that he was on the right course with that. There are two problems with that, though, and one of them is that the remarks were controversial. We heard some of the people in my report saying that they felt that the tone was wrong. They were so controversial that it meant that Merz's governing partner, the Social Democrats, had to speak out and talk about it because there was so much uproar within their ranks. That creates this image of a spat within the government, which is not helpful when you're trying to show that you're getting the job done. And it's also fuel for the AfD, who can say, look, they're just squabbling among themselves. They're not serious about change. And the other problem is about expectation management, Anya, because if you talk about problem in the cityscape and you're referring to groups of foreign-looking men in Germany's cities, then it's one thing to talk about that, but it's another thing to say that you're going to be able to remove these men when many of them will have a permanent right to remain here. Many of them are German. So the other problem, that's a real problem that Merz will have. It's one thing to say you're going to carry out more deportations, and the statistics can underline that, but it's another to start saying that you're going to change how cities in Germany look.
So what is it that voters actually want to see happening here in Germany?
Well, that's the other thing that was asked in the polling here. So we can have a look at the key issues, the key concerns of German voters, and up there at the top on 32% is immigration, and then you have the economy, also always, in fact, a really important issue for German voters, not least at the moment when we're going through a period of economic stagnation. That's in second place. And then in third place, this issue of inequality, of poverty. But you can see there that these two issues, at the very top there, are the issues that will be concerning the German government over the next 4 years. That is getting Germany's economy back on track, and this issue of immigration be seen to be dealing with this issue of immigration. Now, you ask, what do people want when it comes to immigration? It's this idea that the government is able to return people who are here in Germany, who have had their asylum claims rejected, return them to the places that they came. There's been a kind of feeling in recent months and years that the German government isn't able to track these people that come here and to return them, whether it's to other European Union countries where they first entered the European Union or to their home countries. German government is trying to reach agreements with countries like Afghanistan, with countries like Syria, to make sure that it is possible to return some of these people. The problem, though, is that you heard in my report, there are people who say if you focus too much on immigration, you play right into the hands of the far-right Alternative for Germany, because you make their talking points mainstream, and you cannot compete with a party that is talking about fundamentally remigration, a far-right talking point. It's talking about very, very harsh approach to immigration rules, and you cannot compete with them, and all you'll do will help them and feed into their narrative.
Matthew, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much. That's DW's political correspondent Matthew Moore.